Hi everyone, I'm Bob and I'm renovating this 1973 Egg Harbor Sportfish boat. Okay, we're going to start this off a little bit of history lesson. I'm going to show one of the original hatches and part of the original frame and drain slash support system for the hatches. Now I'm not going to change the design too much in the new stuff, but I am going to hopefully improve on it a little bit. So in this episode I'm just going to concentrate mainly on getting the hatch frames completed in the aft section of the cockpit. Now there was only one hatch there originally, and I changed the design and I'm putting 3 in there. So yeah, let's get into building some hatch frames. I've taken one of the hatches and set it on here. Now this isn't the hatch that went with these side frames, so this doesn't line up perfectly here, but you get the idea. And you can see how it sits on this support piece, and the water would just, in theory, come off here, run down, and drain into this thing, and then it would go off its merry way into the drain system. Here's the little lifting mechanism from the bottom side. It's just a bolt with a nut on it and a washer. So simple. Those are the days. Zoom out so you can see the whole thing. A couple of supports in the middle to nail the teak down to, and then the frame on the edges. You can see how this edge got pretty rotted and pretty chewed up over here. Okay, so what I'm doing here is trying to divide this piece of wood here, which is going to be the template for the hatches that are going to go here. So I have to cut this into 3 pieces. Now I made a diagram of these are the hatches in the back here, all 3 of them. These 2 are the same size. This one's a little bit bigger. These are the ones in the front, which I'm not going to worry about right now, but I'm just going to worry about these. So I have to cut, I've got some dimensions here, and I've got to cut the middle one first. I want to just line up everything here. I got a center line on the piece and a center line that I got yesterday on the actual deck area. So I lined those up. Then I've got my tape measure. I'm just going to measure out. Looks like I want it to be 2'7" 1/4. And this is a piece of wood that's like 3/16 thick. That's what I'm going to use as a spacer for the ends here, and in between too. Okay, so I just cut these. They're all labeled starboard, forward. I've got port 1 here, and then this aft one. Now I got to cut these end ones. I want this much of a gap between them. So I just cut this piece here. So this is going to be perfect, because here's my board for my gap. And there'll be 2 layers of fiberglass on either side of these pieces, and that should close up that gap. And that one's probably about 1/8 inch or a little bit over 1/8 inch right now. So it's going to work out good. Okay, so that's going to do it. Got all of them cut. There's a decent gap there. And it's going to have to do it for now. I'll go and get these, I can start cutting these frames out and actually fitting them over here. I'm not going to do these forward ones right now. I'm going to wait and do those after. I want to get the aft frames all done. I actually want to get all the hatches totally done on the aft part before I even do these. These I'm going to do a little bit different construction. I've already cut the wood. I bought these pieces about 7.5 inches wide, like 10, 15 feet long, and I cut them down to kind of the lengths I needed and ripped them to the widths I needed. Now these hatches do have a camber on them, and that's why I have these templates that I already made. this would be the center hatch template, and then these are the port and starboard hatches. So they all have their own little camber going to them. But what I want to do today, at least get started on, is cut the pieces that I'm going to be templating with the camber out and route them so they are, you know, what I want in the end. The pieces that connect these two, like this would be one frame piece, there'd be another one back here, and then there'll be interconnecting pieces, probably 3 for this one. These won't have any camber or anything cut to them. They'll just be cut to a height that matches the ends here. And then this one will be cut, maybe not even to match the middle height. It could be less. It's just a little extra support for the plywood. Okay, so I just cut the port and starboard hatch pieces. There's 2 of them. Here's the other one. I cut them to length. So I have to lay these out and then cut on this kind of an angle. I'm going to do that on my bandsaw. Okay, so all 4 of these are rough cut, and all 4 of these frames for the port and starboard side aft hatches. And the next step is going to be to double side tape the templates onto these and just route them to the shape, kind of like I did with the center pieces. So that's why I'm not going to film routing these pieces. Okay, so I finished routing all of these frames for the aft hatches. There's 6 pieces all together, and now that they have their shape, now I'm going to round over the outside edge, lower edge. Okay, so that's going to do it. You also saw me rounding over these outside edges, but there it is. I don't know if you can see it there, but and here you can see where I stopped, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so happy with that. I'm going to just clean these up a little bit here and there. Okay, well, tonight I'm going to set this table up to do some fiberglassing on these frame pieces. I'm going to put that plastic on here, and then I'm going to get my stands out and double side tape these to them so they're propped up off the surface. And tomorrow I'll cut the fiberglass out and do the fiberglassing. Okay, well, it's the next day. I didn't get much done last night because I have to make a couple more stands. So I didn't have the screws to do it or anything, so I got them today. I did get one piece on and I got the plastic down. So I got to make 2 more stands, and then I can put the pieces on, and then maybe start the fiberglassing. I'll see how late it is, but we'll get started on those stands. So there we go. We have all the pieces kind of rough cut. I'll trim some of these areas when I put them on. I'll have to see how things are like laying when I start fiberglassing them. before we start sanding, I wanted to just show the corner here and how the fiberglass actually went on it. It went on really good, better than I was actually expecting. Now I'll do the other 5 pieces and we'll be ready to start fitting these things up. Okay, so we're going to cut these pieces. Now these pieces go in between the 2 frame pieces that are already fiberglass, so they'll go fore and aft. And they have to be 23 inches long, a little over 23 inches long. That doesn't really matter, but I set up this little temporary stop here. Just clamped one of these wood clamps to my table. I clamped this 2x4 in there, and I've got this all clamped down. So the distance between this stop over here and the saw blade is what I want. So now I can cut all 6 of these pieces to the same length. Here's the lady of the house.
I'm the lady of the house.
Yeah. Raiding the refrigerator. There she is. She's got all the important stuff there.
Mexican fajitas tonight.
Mexican fajita night, so that was my dinner call in a few minutes. But anyways, we're going to continue here. So just like with the other pieces, I have to round over the bottom. This would be the bottom, so there's the top here. So I want to round over these bottom edges. So it's going to go through. This is already set up from the last time when I did the other pieces. These are a little simpler. I don't have to start and stop them. I can just run them right through. So that's what we're going to do now. That's it. Ready to, next thing is to actually fiberglass them. So we'll set up for that now. Alright, so it's a bit of deja vu. I've got the heaters running and I've got all the fiberglass cut and sitting on these 6 pieces. These might be a little bit easier than the other ones. I don't have to fold these edges over. They're just going to be trimmed. So I just have to bring them over like that and they should be done. So it shouldn't be as bad as the other ones. Okay, what you saw me just do was cut a couple pieces for in between the frames. Now I had the whole box, part of the frames done. Those are fiberglass, excuse me. And I had to cut some pieces just for a little extra stiffener in the middle. Okay, so we're finally back looking to work on something here in the shop. It's been a while, probably been like a week since I actually worked on anything because I actually got a new camera, which hopefully is a lot better than the last one. New tripod as well, so it's a fun toy I'm trying to work with and trying to use and figure out. And yeah, the old camera equipment just wasn't cutting it anymore. It was good to get the video started, but the quality wasn't there, and the focusing after I dropped it a couple times wasn't working well, and it was very frustrating to actually work with, and I just about had enough of it. So with that, yeah, I got the new camera, new tripod, and from here on out hopefully things look a little bit better, and I get a little bit more work done in the process. So anyways, What you're seeing in front of me here is the center aft hatch, and I've clamped it all together so that I can screw it together and fit it at the boat. Now, I'm just going to dry screw this thing together just so I can bring it over there, like I said. Not going to epoxy it or anything yet. And I'll probably screw, I have the other two hatch frames over here as well behind me. I'll probably screw them together. I'll actually leave probably the outer frame off of these pieces because I've noticed I have a bit of a bust in the squareness of the hatch opening in the back, and I cannot figure out how I actually have a bust in it. Everything measures out fine, but something's not right. And when I talk a bust, it's not that much. I mean, you're not going to notice it by the naked eye, but I notice it when I put squares up against it. So it's driving me a little crazy. So I may have to do adjustments on the outer frames. But this one here, I'm going to get it square. You'll see that happening here now, and we'll get this one done. We'll do those two, and if I have time today, I'll go over to the boat and fit them in. If I don't, I'll do it tomorrow. Screwed together, and it's pretty solid, pretty lightweight actually. Of course, there's going to be 3/4 inch plywood on here, and then some teak on here, so it's going to have some weight to it when it's done. But I kind of want to have weight to it because it's just going to sit on there. It's not going to be locked down. The original ones didn't have anything locking them down, and I think it needs to have a little bit of weight to it. So anyways, there's one down. I'll get going on the other two, and then maybe we'll be able to go over to the boat today. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so it's been quite a few days since I filmed last. Last time I filmed, I was actually putting these together. These are the aft frames, and I said I was going to bring them over to the boat to actually fit them in the boat. And I did that, but it was kind of dark. It was late, and I didn't film it just because it was too dark. They didn't fit too bad. I did have a problem with, like you can see on the bench over here, the center frame, which I already broke down into pieces. One of the pieces had a little bit of a hook to it, and thought it was going to be okay once I screwed it all together, but it didn't really straighten out. So I had to do some little work on that, and I'll explain that in a minute, and I'll bring you closer here so you can see it. But today, I'm going to screw these two side frames together. I left this one corner unscrewed. So I'm going to attach that. Then I'm actually going to break it down and cut some slots in the bottom for like a drip edge. And I'll talk about that and show you what I've already done on that for the center frame. So I guess we can get started with that. Okay, before we start cutting the slots in there, I wanted to show this one piece. Now this is part of the frame that was on it's the centerpiece. And yeah, so the transom would be back over here. And I knew there was a little bit of a bend right here in it, but I thought once I screwed it together, everything would pull together, but that wasn't the case. So what I had to do, I was going to just make a new one, but I said before I do that, I'll see if I can do something with this one, since it was already fiberglassed and ready to go. So I put a straight edge, this straight edge right here on here, and I could see where the bend actually occurred. And so I marked it, and I made a cut through it with my oscillating saw blade. I cut about 2/3 of the way through it, and I made a pretty wide cut, probably a little more generous than I had to be. And then once I got that cut, I clamped it down to the flat surface and filled it with West Systems thickened epoxy in the tube, 610 epoxy. And cleaned it all up and left it there for a couple days. And yeah, it's as strong as can be. And I sanded it down here. That's what you're seeing, but you can see the line of it. And a straight edge, I put it on there, and it's dead nut straight. So saved myself a lot of work by doing that. And I think this will be fine. It doesn't really span anything. It's sitting directly on the support system right under here. Plus I'll have plywood on the top of it here, and I'll just make sure I put 2 screws on either side of it to even, just make it even better. So it should be really good, and this is ready to go now. So now we'll get into cutting these slots right here, and I've already cut them on the center piece, and I guess I can explain what these slots are doing here. And I'll do it with this little piece I made up here already. Now I did a couple of I don't have, oh here I have it, do have it here. My original idea for a drip edge on this was to just cut a slot in it, kind of like I have it, and I was hoping that the water would drip down, try to roll under here, and having a slot in there, a drip edge, it would break the surface tension, and then the water would just drip down. But it wasn't really happening when I tested it. I tested it with this piece. I cut a bunch of different depths of slots and different widths, and this wide one here kind of worked pretty good, but I don't really have the room to do a wide slot like that, so that was kind of a bust. I tested it under the faucet over here, my sink. Probably had more water than I would ever do in the real world, but it didn't work. I wasn't happy with it, so I started experimenting with doing some sort of drip edge, using that same slot, but doing a drip edge that would hang down. So I decided to, in the end, after doing many trials and errors, this is a piece of EP. Same thing I used that I put between the cover boards on the Cockpit, instead of doing a rubber edge, if you want to check out that episode. This is kind of the same piece. It's a little bit narrower, and then I'm just going to cut a slot like this, and that's what I ended up as a measurement. And I'll use this as my guide for setting up the table saw. But then this piece just goes in there, and I'll epoxy this in. Now I won't have it sticking out this far. This is 3/4 inch EP. It's just from a piece of 3/4 inch board. I'm going to cut it down so it only sticks out about 1/4 inch instead of it's out about 1/2 inch right now. So that's it. So once I got that done, I set up my saw. Then I cut this slot out here, and I just got to cut a bunch of these boards, these little strips, and they'll be epoxy down in there. The only thing I have to do when I put the board over here, there's not going to be a slot in between, so I'm going to have to hand cut that. But I'll have all this framed together, and I'll show that when I get to that point. But that's going to be the drip edge. Yeah, probably won't put these boards in for quite a while. Get these all made and plywooded and everything before I put this drip edge in. Saw blade's not wide enough to cut it all in one pass, so I have to do one pass and then bump the saw blade over just barely. So it's a little finicky to cut these things. There's the first pass. It's just not wide enough. course, the first piece I did, I pushed it too far, so I have one with a really wide slot. I'm going to have to use a lot of epoxy on it. And there you go. Got it fitting good right on the first try. So, anyways, that's it. So everything's set up on this table. I've got some plastic down. I've cleaned all these parts. I've sanded where they're going to be joined, and I've wiped it all down with acetone. Behind me are all the items that I'm going to use to assemble this frame with epoxy. And, well, we'll just get started with it. Okay, so the frame is all together, and apologize in the background, the furnace is running. I got 2 more to do. Hopefully I can get 2 done tomorrow, I don't know, but yeah, that's how it goes. Okay, well that's going to do it for this video. The next one will continue on where we left off here. Now you might have noticed this video covers about 2 months worth of work, and the next few videos I'm going to do are going to be the same way because I'm trying to catch up. Now because of that I left out some things that I did other than the hatches, like cleaning all the bilge back here in the cockpit and all this kind of stuff, which isn't really too video worthy anyways. So just to know there's other things going on that aren't making it to the video that are kind of mundane things. Even things I'm doing in this video, I kind of breezed over a lot of stuff because I've done it in the past before. So like I said, trying to get through this and catch up a little more to where we actually are. We're about 7 months behind now after this video comes out. So the next few videos, probably next 4 or 5, are going to be, I think, kind of similar. If I can fit 2 months into a video, at least 1 month I'll get into each video. So anyways, that's where we're at, and that's where we're going to move forward to. So hope you enjoyed this video and you check out the next one. So until then, have a good one, and we'll see you really soon right here on Renovation Sportfish.